coordination. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. I like to start from the first, this existing topic, the forecasting, right? Because
So
especially,
excuse me, sir. Are we to understand that this comes under the same topic, networks and coordination?
yes.
Right.
Last time also I did that.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Then there's the file I just opened. Then under that we need to talk about. I just mentioned about the rest of the topic that I am going to complete. It's including. Including the production plan. Before that, we should do the forecasting. Then after that, we should talk about the production plan, master production schedule, material requirement plan, and also facilities planning and location. These are the topics I need to complete. Right? I think we have 3 days. I'm sure then today I'll have to start from the forecasting. Okay, now I would like to explain. Mainly we are going to forecast can you predict yourself. The forecasting means we are going to predict the future. For the subject, what we need to forecast. Can you predict yourself? Either answer correct or wrong, don't worry. Why so silent?
So the question?
Yeah, my question is that now I'm going to talk about the forecasting. Forecasting mean we are going to predict the future. For your subject, then what we need to forecast. Can you predict yourself? Networks and coordination.
When it comes to the topic, networks and coordination, the way that we predict it is related to how you create the connectivity and develop it and then coordinate it, simply.
Let's see that. Okay, I think much better that I like to just share in that content, then you can see, because sometimes you have doubt that what I'm going to explain that. That's a can you see that the Word file?
Answer.
Yeah. Huh? Can no?
Answer.
Okay,
Yes,
networks and coordination. Under that, these are the PLOs, and you can see that my part is I like to explain that the facility locations and the capacity allocations. This is one of the topic. If you like, then we can start from that point as third topic this mentioned about. And the next one is regarding the aggregate plan production planning actually, right? That's a seventh topic, that integrated business planning, right? I think we can start from if you like that, we can go to the facilities planning and locations as well. Oh, that's a third topic. Then I think much better, no? We start from that point, then I will come to later that forecasting. I will share that one. Because according to your content, the third topic, yes, facilities planning and location. Now can see that PowerPoint slides?
Yes, sir, we can see.
Okay, sure. Right, thank you. Right. Now, did you have any lectures previous under this subject? Today is the very first day. Oh, There are several lecturers now.
Not particularly this facilities planning. Planning.
No. I'm not asked that.
Networks and coordination, yes.
Yeah, I started. No. Okay. That's the reason I want to know that, because interaction part I am not doing. Then I said what come to the topic that facilities planning and location. Right. Okay. Now we start from that point. Then now I'm going to talk about what are the facilities required to produce the goods and service. Right. Because we use the goods and service to satisfy our needs and wants. Everybody we are going to use. Then we should know what are the facilities required to produce goods and service. And also, we should know where we need to locate these facilities. The location is really important. Then we should know how to take the location decision. Under this topic, I will have to explain what are the facilities required, how we are going to locate these facilities, what are the techniques we can use to identify the best location. I will have to explain mainly several techniques, quantitative techniques to find the best location, factor loading method or factor rating method, and center of gravity method. Right? Then we can talk about in detail with applications. Before that, we should know what are the facilities required to produce the goods and services. Before I explain in, I would like to get some ideas from your side. I need your contribution. We use that Zoom platform, but anyway, should be the live lecture. Then I need your contribution. You have a lot of experience, exposure that you are working different organization. Therefore, let me know what are the facilities required to produce goods and service according to your knowledge, your experience. Everybody have a possibility to say the answers. What are the facilities required to produce goods and service?
To start with, you need the raw material, and the raw material should be transported to the location where it's been produced, and then it has to go through the process at the producing.
Yeah, then okay. I think that you are going to explain the production process. No, I am not asked that one in detail, right? My question is, is any company going to produce the goods and service? I am also now producing the service. Then my question is, what are the facilities required to produce goods and service? Facilities.
You need the location first of all.
Correct. Then.
And then you have to plan as to how you are going to store them, and then your transport system, and how you are going to bring stuff that is required for production, and then how you are going to take them out. So the transportation, basically.
Right.
And then inventory facility.
Right. I think that's correct, but somewhat we should specify it related to our topic, because we talk about the facilities planning and location means what are the main facilities required, how we are going to locate the facilities, because we should combine that locations as well, right? I think you mentioned about some facilities, but actually the facilities mean we are going to consider departments, divisions, workstation, stock holding point, sales centers, machines, tools, and equipment. These are the facilities mainly we focus. We are going to talk about that infrastructure facilities, because that we should know what are the facilities required and where we are going to locate that. Because that's our topic is related to the locations as well. We should identify the real location. Assume that one particular company, they need to identify as a facility warehouse. We should identify the best location for that. Without, the company cannot do their transformation process effective and efficiency. The location decisions is really important. It's another good example that assume the one particular supermarket, they need to establish the new branch or outlet, right? They should find the good location, right? Without, sometimes they can't achieve their goals and objective. Therefore, location decisions is really important. Then under this topic, mainly we focus about right? Mainly we focus about what are the facilities mean, departments, divisions, workstation, stock holding point, sales centers, machines, tools, and equipment. Under this topic, we can talk about issues in facility location. This means what are the factors we are going to consider to identify the best location. Then we should talk about how to take the location decisions. And also I'm going to explain about various plant location method, factor loading method, center of gravity method, load distance method, break-even analysis, and also the transportation model, right? We can talk about in detail, but I am sure that some techniques we don't have much time. As example, transportation model, this takes time, but anyway, well, let's see that I like to complete that most important techniques. Then when you're going to talk about the facilities I mentioned, department, divisions, workstation, stock holding point, sales centers, machines, tools, and equipment, all the facilities we can classify considering the three types. Heavy manufacturing facilities, it's mean the large, require a lot of space, and are more expensive. Light industry facilities, smaller and usually less costly. And the retail and service facilities is very small and least cost. Likewise, we have possible to identify what are the facilities required, then how we are going to classify. The different organization, they use a different scale to classify, but in here that just I explained the common way how we are going to classify the heavy, light, and the retail. Okay, before I go to the issues in facility location, it means what are the factors we are going to consider to identify the best location. I would like to ask one practical question from your side. Right? Assume now you want build the new house. You like to buy the land. Let me know what are the factors you are going to consider to buy the land.
Space, whether the space is enough for that, and then
Right.
accessibility, whether the road integrate the road system is around,
Right.
and then environment.
Some of the most important factor also there. Any others? Why your others are silent? Everybody can contribute. Think practically what are the factors required to, if you are going to buy the land.
Environmental factors.
Yeah, it's correct. Then
Whether it is valid for money, I mean the piece of land.
yes, we should consider. You can mention about that as cost. Pavitra? Sushima?
Transportation facilities.
Uh-huh. Okay, actually, when if you are going to buy the land to build the house, mainly we need to focus as a considering factors. The infrastructure facilities, that particular area have a possibilities to get the electricity, transportation, and the
Water.
communications and water supply likewise. We should consider about as most important factor cost. A lot of decisions depend on the cost. Sometimes you like to stay the column 7, but the high cost. Then we should think about the cost. We should think about the natural disaster. That's one of the important. And also we should think about the road conditions. Right? Transportation, under that we can talk about, but mainly we are going to consider about this particular area, how the road condition and who are the people living around that area is another good important factor. Who are the people living around that area? Some places we don't like to buy, right? Because that the places maybe the people thought that's a not good place to live in, right? Some time that murder people, the name also maybe they are going to mention about, right? Likewise, then we consider about that. And living conditions, right? We should consider about the distance to the working place, close to the bank, hospital, and school. Why school? A lot of parents have a problem to find the public school for their children, right? Then normally the people they are going to concern what are the popular school around that area. Likewise, these are the main factors and some other factors as well, that land size and accessibility, and likewise there are so many things. We should consider about that. Likewise, if you are going to find the location for the any facility I mentioned, department, division, workstation, stock holding point, sales centers, machines, tools, and equipment, we should consider some factors to find the best location for these facilities. Now I like to explain in generally, without considering one particular facility, commonly, what are the factors we are going to consider as a business organization, right? For the business goods or the service manufacturing purpose. As a factors we can consider close to the customer is one of the main important factor. When I'm going to identify the location for the any business organization, I think not for the all the requirements, right? That don't misunderstand. If the one particular company want to find the location for their warehouses, close to the customer, proximate to the customer is not important. Therefore, the which factor is most important is depend on our requirement, right? But here I am going to explain the general factors we can consider. Later, I will give the question given the specific organization and requirement, that you can take the decisions what are the most important factors. We should consider close to the customer, right? Business climate, that particular area have a possibility to do the business. Then total cost. Infrastructure facilities, electricity, water supply, the communication, likewise, required energy. Then we should consider the quality of labor. Some organization required the more mentally skilled workers. Some organization required more physically skilled workers. Some required both skill. Then we should consider about that particular area is suitable to get more mentally skilled workers. As example, that assume we are going to establish a consultancy firm, the place we call the Matale Maraka, very rural area. I think that is not good decision, right? Then normally some villages, they start the factory, they require a lot of physical skill workers. Our country that very early, 200 garment factory project. In the country, everywhere they start the factories because they require a lot of physical skill workers. Likewise, we should consider about which type of quality of labor required. And suppliers. Close to supply is one of the important factor for some specific organization. As example, we are going to start the tea factory. Close to the supply is the most important. We can establish tea factory in Mahargama. Then we can suggest we can transport tea leaves from Akurasthaniya via the highway. But it's create the additional cost. And also is affect to the tea leaves quality. It's affect to the final quality of the tea. Likewise, there are so many the problem is create. Then we should establish a tea factory considering the close to the customer. Up country or either down south in Deniai, Akurasa, Pitavadar, that particular area is much better. And also we should consider about the other facilities depend on the organization. Some specific organization require the special facilities close to the harbor, close to the maybe some other river or something like that. Then we should consider that one. Not only that, we need to consider the free trade zone. Because normally government establish free trade zones to start the factories. They give a lot of facilities, sometimes tax holidays, sometimes that no any other the legal problem is created, right? Because that everything considering that they establish free trade zone, then we should, before we start take the decision, we should think about as a considering factor, this particular area have a free trade zone. Koggala, Ekala, that Katunayaka, likewise, there are so many places. Then political risks, another important thing, right? How that political risks is affect to that particular decisions. We should think about, we should predict somewhat. After we establish the factory, then government decide to establish the highway via that particular area, is create a problem. Government barriers, right? Because of the government policies, we should consider about that. And trading blocks, still we don't have the problem that assume the plastic manufacturing, right? That developed countries, they have a government barrier. They are not allowed to use the normal plastic. The developed country people, they use the plastic, but that particular plastic are environment friendly. Unfortunately, developing country like Sri Lanka and other countries around, you know that still we don't have this type of rule. In our country, according to my memory, that we have only the micron 20 lunch sheets rule only. The highly affected the plastic for the environment. Likewise, then when we're going to start the factory or either location for the any facility, we should consider about the government trading blocks. Environment regulation is really important nowadays. Normally that a lot of people, they concern environment, even the customer also they concern environment. Unfortunately, developing country, all the customers are not concerned. We like to buy that, lot of our people environment affect products actually. We like to plastic, likewise, you know, sometime environment friendly product, we don't like to pay more. But in developed country, they like to pay more. They like to use that. Another important thing is host community. It means who are the people living around that area. This is one of another important factor before we establish a factory or either any facility. We should know that who are the people around that area. Host community. I'll take one example. You know that how many branches in the McDonald's in the world? Can you predict yourself? Unfortunately, in Sri Lanka, that all the branches nowadays close because we are not satisfied that there are rules and regulations or principles. That's the reason. How many branches in the world? Can you predict?
Oh, 40,000.
Yeah, that's correct. 40,000. If you don't know anything, then you can just use that new technology. Within few minutes, you can get the actual values, right? I think that's we should use the new technology, AI, ChatGPT, and there are so many sources now. Anyway, that 40,000 branches, more than 40,000 branches in the world, you know that their McDonald's, they are concerning the host community. They use the same principles, but sometimes they concern the host community, sometimes no. Actually, they concern the host community. It's mean the McDonald's maybe in the European region, they give the priority for the meat burgers. But in Asian region, they give the priority for the McRice. The European region, people don't like to eat more rice, especially the Asian region people. I think Asian region means that especially the Sri Lankan. But however, that Thailand, Malaysia, they ate the rice, but less quantity, very less quantity, right? Then the McDonald's, they are going to make their menus considering that who are the people living around that area, because they need to satisfy the customer needs. Another important thing is competitive advantage. Anybody know what is the meaning of that? What is the competitive advantage?
See whether any competitive, I mean, if you have anyone who is doing the same business with whom you have to compete.
Yeah. Yes, that not only that, then we should find the location considering the how to get the competitive advantage.
Yeah, yes. I mean, to reduce the cost, it will be required. The distance and the various other factors that will help reducing the cost may have to be considered, perhaps.
Yes, somewhat correct. Actually, there are different way we can get the competitive advantage, right? I'll explain. One is that the need to produce close to the customer due to the time-based competition, trade agreements, and shipping cost. Right? Assume the very simple example. If I ask where the McDonald's in Nugegoda, I'm sure everybody you know about that. If I ask where the KFC in Nugegoda, these are both are the competitive organization. Sometimes a lot of you know that. But I assume that outside people that they don't know where the KFC, where the McDonald's, right? But they are going to via the flyover, easy to see the McDonald's location. Easy to see the McDonald's location. Then compare the KFC and McDonald's location. I'm sure KFC, McDonald's, have a possibilities to get the competitive advantage because of the location. Because of the location, right? Because it's a somewhat big area that everybody can see, but KFC is somewhat behind the main road. Not far, actually very close. But anyway, that McDonald location is much better. Right? That's a very simple example. Because of the location, the organization have a possibilities to get the competitive advantage. Right? Assume that Open University, that the main branch may be in very rural area or another province, and then it's difficult to find the target market, customers, the students. Right? Therefore, the location is really important for the business organization. And also we can get the competitive advantage, consider the need to the locate near to the appropriate labor pool to take advantage of low wage cost and the high technical skills. You mentioned that the example, I think, regarding the least cost, that's somewhat related to this one. I like to take example, that before 3 decades early, the Sri Lanka is a good place for the lot of foreign direct investment. The investors like to come to our country. Why? To get the competitive advantage. Before 3 decades early, in our labor cost is very low compared to the regional area countries. We have a high skill, technical skill workers as well. Then government give a lot of facilities for the start in the free trade zones and tax holidays and other facilities. Then investors, they like to come to Sri Lanka to get the competitive advantage. But current situation, you can see we don't have a lot of investment. We can see some only, but we don't have a lot of investment. Now, a lot of investment going to the Bangladesh and Nepal because their salary cost also very low. You know that a lot of American companies shift to the China. Why? To get the competitive advantage. For America, for a 1 hour, need to pay $9. But in China, for a whole day, we need to pay only $2, right? Likewise, then by the business organization, they consider that, that when you're going to identify the location, is very important how to get the competitive advantage. Compare the competitors, what are the advantage we can get it from this particular location, close to the supply or likewise, the different things we can consider. Now, you know that what are the main factors we should consider to identify the best location. But if the question asks, given the specific organization, try to identify what are the most important factor we should consider, then according to that particular organization and their requirements, we need to identify the most important factor. As example, assume one question is we are going to start this new supermarket, right? That most important factor is close to the customer. When you're going to start the tea factory, the most important factor is close to the supply and other infrastructure facilities. How to find the labor, right? Physical skill labors, likewise. These are the most important factor. Then you should have a possibility to know, considering that all these common factors, if you are going to consider one particular specific facility, we should have a possibility to identify what are the most important factors. Now, I will like to explain that how to take the location decisions. If you are going to build a new house, you need to buy the land, I mentioned earlier. How are you going to take the decision? Straightforward. Sometime you are going to take, then I like to buy the land in Colombo district, this particular area. That's the way normally we are going to think. But sometimes maybe people, they think about, okay, we should buy the land in Sri Lanka or India or Pakistan or Europe or likewise. They can think about likewise. But majority of the people, they think about when they are going to buy the land, they think this is straightforward. That's a particular location, so I like to buy the land. They are not doing any analysis. But business organization can't take the decisions likewise because location decisions are really important. Some organization success because of the location. Therefore, they are going to take the first decision considering the market region. they have separate decision unit to take the decisions, and based on the decisions criteria, just I put some example. We can consider market potential, market share, operating cost, likewise taxes, and there are so many things we can consider. The start in the market region, as example, assume one foreign direct investor is think about where need to start the factory. He consider as a market region, European region or Asian region. Based on the criteria, assume the particular investor decide to start the factory in the Asian region, then come to the next step, sub-region, where in Asia. Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bangladesh, Pakistan, or something like that. He should take the decisions now, considering the factors, criteria. Then assume that particular investor decide to start the factory in Sri Lanka, then need to take the decision where in Sri Lanka, which province, Western, Southern, or likewise, based on the criteria, need to take the decisions. Assume that particular investor decide to start the factory in the Western province, then need to think about where in the Western province, Gampaha, Colombo, or Kalutara, likewise. Assume that particular investor, considering the factors, they think about that Gampaha, then we should compare the alternative sites in Gampaha district. Then we should take the decision which location is the best. Then finally, we should get the approval from the board of directors. Likewise, we need to take the decisions regarding their allocations. Both the business organization, sadly, we can take the decisions, but the real way, start from the market region, come to the sub-region, come to the community and compare the alternative sites. Then we should decide which location is the best. Now, I'm going to talk about various plant location methods. These are quantitative techniques. That's really important to take the location decisions. Some organizations, companies, they're using this method to find the best location, because I earlier mentioned the location decisions are really important. One of the method we call the factor loading method or factor rating method, both we can use. Under this particular method, we are going to identify the considering factors. Then we are going to rate the factors, considering the importance of the factor, and we can take the final decision which location is the best. First of all, I'd like to give the example, some applications based on the factor loading or factor rating method. Let's go to the first example. The rest of the method I will come to step by step. The factor rating method is a technique used to project management and decisions making to evaluate compare the different alternative or options based on set of predefined criteria. It is particularly useful when there are multiple factors to consider and each factor has different level of importance. Then I don't like to read these are the steps you need to follow. You can go through later, not wasting time, because that method is not difficult. Then I like to straightforward come to the first example. Now we talk about the factor rating method. Regarding the oil refinery, two refinery sites A and B are assigning the following range of the points values is already they identify the two sites A and B. They consider factors well in region, power availability, labor, climate, living conditions, like transportation, likewise. They allocate the points for each location, A and B. Now, how we can decide which location is the best? How can decide which location is the best? Based on your knowledge. Sometimes you don't know maybe this method early, but anyway, don't worry. Based on the existing knowledge, let me know that which site is the best. Site A or B?
B.
Side B,
Yeah, how you said that?
considering total.
Sorry?
The values given to each factor is higher than the values of the A.
Right, that's correct. Then you need to just calculate the allocate points for each location. Then you should select the highest one, total marks, total points. I'm sure the location A, according to my memory, 418 total points, you can add and get the values. And site B should be the 544. Compare these two locations, we can decide site B is the best. Right? You understood the method? We consider factors, we rate the factors, we can decide which factor is which site is most important, most suitable. That's the method we call the factor rating method. Do you understood, everybody? Have any questions? I need your feedback. Everybody understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Don't have any questions. Right, much better. But I have one question. Let me know, take on this example, how we are going to rate the factors. How we are going to rate the factors. Method we call factor rating methods. Yes.
Giving priority to most important one.
Yes, then okay, that's the way we are going to rate. I know that, but in this
Also,
example,
you have to see the availability of certain things like water supply, and then before rating, you have to find out what the level been maintained. And then when it comes to transportation, as per the infrastructure facility, how
yes, I understood that. My question is based on the given this information that we select the type site B is the best, no? The method we use the factor rating method. How we rate the factors? The factors also there. You can see the table. My
point
question is
you're asking how best that you give the points for each sub-factor.
not points. That points we are going to allocate considering the where the location. We consider the factor and we allocate the points. As example, the fuel in region, we give
Okay,
more
got it.
points for the site B because the particular area have a fuel in region. Site
Yes, so
A.
as per your requirement, as per the requirement of the business.
No, that my question is that according these given figures, how we are going to rate the factors that there are so many factors. Which one is the most important? How we are going to rate?
Allocating a weightage factors.
Yeah, here we can't see any
Multiply.
weightage. But according to this example, my question, how the rate? The answer also there. Think about it a bit.
Impact to the business.
Yes, that's everything is correct that you mentioned. But my question is, according to this example, how we are going to rate the factors? Factors mean fuel in region, power availability, labor, climate, living conditions, likewise. Which factor is most important? How we are going to rate according to this example, given information?
Calculate them into percentage.
Can you explain that how to do the calculation percentage?
Uh,
Should be more than 50% from each subject factor.
Yeah, that the problem is that we can consider the percentage, but anyway, that according to the given information, how rate that already we rated then we decide the B is the best location. My question, how we rate according to the given information?
We have taken the 50% of each value given.
No, it means we are going to make the scale. No, actually here, how we are going to rate the factors, you can see in the answer also there actually. We rate the factors, you can consider each factors fuel in region, power availability, likewise. For the oil refinery, most important factor is a fuel in region. No? Then we allocate the points to the site A and B, the range value 0 to 330. That's the way we are going to rate the factors. Different range value. You can see here, right? That taxes and policies and law is 0 to 20. Compare that fuel in region, we allocate more points because we given the range more than the the taxes and policies likewise. My question is that how to rate the factors, because our method is factor rating method. We use the different range value, right? Then your method also we can introduce. I know that, but according to this given information, my question is how to rate the factors based on different range value. Okay, let's go to the second example. Same method, right? Now individually, you can do the calculation and let me know which alternative site is the best.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
So in this example, what is
Mhm.
the meaning of PT range? The
Yeah.
PT is what?
Sorry,
PT stands for what?
percentage.
Here, that
Percentage.
is percentage range.
Yeah.
0 to 330.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, go to the second example. Second example, and let me know which alternative site is the best. The same method we call the factor rating method. Now, individually, you can do the calculation. I'll give the 5 minutes and let me know your answers. Everybody should have answers, right? Just start now. I got that one message. Let's see that. The Ganga sent answer. Okay, let's see others. If you complete that, you can chat with me. Put the chat box your answer. Site 10203. I got another answer also. Let's see. Right. I think now the time enough. I got the two answers. Miss Ganga and Pradipika. Anybody would like to say the answer? Anybody like to say the answer? I'm waiting. Is now the time enough? Susima, let Miss Susima, let you like to say the answer?
Still doing so
Okay.
difficult for me.
Sanjeeva also. 3 students now given the answers. Right. I think all the given answers are the same. It means that you are maybe understood very well. That's good. I think that you make the correct answer. Actually, the answer is the side tree. But before explaining, I would like to get the, how did you get this answer? Anybody can explain that? Send the answers for me that why anybody can explain, don't worry.
Sir, is there any particular standard to for this calculate this factor rating? Actually, I didn't understand.
No, that's very simple things, right? We consider the factors and we are going to rate the factors. The rating is depend on the importance of the factor, right? If you are going to buy the land, you like to get the land that maybe good environment
Yes,
condition,
yeah,
right?
that is I understood.
Ah.
But this weighted factor,
Yeah, is weighted is given, we should allocate based on our requirements. Then organization want to decide which factors are most important. Then the most important factor, we should give the more weights. We should give the more weights.
Hmm.
But assume that you are going to buy the land, then the most important thing you consider about not the price. Your main requirement is that good environment condition. You should allocate more weights for that one. Likewise, here according to this example, compare the previous one. Difference is we have a weight columns.
yes.
Then previous example, we allocate the points for the each alternative side, consider the different range value. Different range value, because that particular example not given the weight columns. Consider the different range, actually we consider weight value. But this example, you can see all three sides is given the allocate the points same range value. Top of the table, you can see 0 to 100. In between that, we are going to allocate the rate points, right? Then how to select the which alternative site is the best? Okay, that Miss Ganga or either anybody who sent the answers, let me explain that how to calculate your answer before explaining.
So each mark is multiplied by the relevant weightage factor.
Yeah, that's correct. The allocate points, we should multiply by the weights values and get the total. As example, site 1, how to calculate 0.3 into 80 plus 0.2 into 100 plus 0.15 into 60 plus 0.15 into 75 plus 0.1 into 65 plus 0.05 into 85 plus and 0.05 into 50. What's the total, Miss Ganga?
77.5.
Yeah, 77.5. The side 2, again same procedure, right? 0.3 into 65. Likewise, you can multiply by the weights and get the total. Side 2,
8.8.
80.8.
80.8. Okay, side 3,
82.05.
82.05. Then compare the 77, 80, 82.05. We should select the highest one. Highest one is side 3, right? That's a method we call factor rating method. We consider the factors. Considering that importance of the factor we are going to rate, we should allocate more weights. More is most important factor. That's the way we are going to allocate weights. Normally, the summation of weight equal to 1. That's the way we do the calculation statistically. Then we can decide which location is the best. We can write the answer. Site 3 is the best. How we decide? The allocate points multiplied by the weights value, compare the all three alternative sites, we can decide which one is best. I think now enough that one. Let's go to the next method. Center of gravity method. Center of gravity method. Actually, center of gravity method is one of the other important method techniques we can use to identify the best location. But this method we can apply only for the existing organization. Because when we're going to apply the center of gravity method, we should know what are the existing locations, in between the distance and volume. Based on that, we are going to identify where are the new location. Where are the new location, right? We consider about existing locations, in between the distance and volume to identify the new location. The center of gravity method, remember, not suitable for the newly established organization. Still, they don't have any branches, right? Or either they don't have any locations. Then we can't use this method. We can use already have the branches or locations. Then we consider existing location and their volume, production or either sales volume or something like that, and distance between them to identify where the new location. Practical example, you know that no limit have branches, Maharagama, Mugegoda, Dehiwala. Assume that they want to identify the intermediate holding facility considering that 3 branches only. They have so many branches, I know that, but anyway, they want to identify the intermediate holding facility or warehouse. Considering that 3 branches, the main objective to minimize the transportation cost. When you're going to apply the center of gravity method, we can consider one particular objective. Either maximize or minimize. Assume the no limit want to identify the intermediate holding facility to consider the minimize the total transportation cost. Okay, let's read this sentence. This center of gravity method is used for the locating single facilities that considers existing facilities, the distance between them and volume of goods to be shifted between them. This methodology involves formulas used to compute the coordinates of the 2-dimensional points that meets the distance and volume criteria stated above. We have used the 2 formulas. You can see now the formulas Cx and Cy we should calculate. How to calculate the Cx? Summation of Dix into Vi divided by summation of volume. Cy, how to calculate? Summation of Diy into Vi divided by summation of volume. Here you can see all the symbols definitions given. Cx represent x coordinate of the center of gravity. Y represent y coordinate of the center of gravity. Dix represent x coordinate of the ith location. Ith location means we have a different existing locations. So we should identify the x coordinate. And Diy, y coordinates of the ith location. The Vi represent volume of goods moved to or from ith location. We consider volume, distance, existing locations to find the new location. Okay, I think if you want to get the real idea about this particular approach or method, we should use the examples, applications. I'll go to the very first example. Under center of gravity method, we have a possibility to draw the map. This is actual map. According to scale we are going to draw, we call the grid map. We call in Sinhala center of gravity method, ගුරුත්ව කේන්ද්‍රීය ක්‍රමය, that map we call the කණ්ඩාංක සිතියම. This actual map according to scale we should do that. I'll explain how to do that. Let's go to the very first example. Several automobile showrooms are located according to the following grid. The grid map given the yellow color one, which represent coordinates location for each showroom. Now you can see the three showrooms, existing showrooms, A, D, Q. A, CX100 and CY200. That's the particular location. D, 250 to 580. Q, 709 to 900. Then volume given separately. A, 1250. D, 1900. Q, 2300. Question is, what is the best location for the warehouse temporary storage facility considering the only distance and quantities and sold per month? So straightforward, you should apply the two formulas to calculate the new location, CX and CY. Let's go to the whiteboard and I'll explain the first example now. It's much better, right? I want to know that, did you get these handouts? Did you get this handout? If not that, I need that your feedback, then I will send it as soon as possible. Because that's several courses, then I send the handout. I am not remember this handout I send or not. Okay, anyway, let me know later. I'll explain how to find the new location for this, the storage or warehouse. I'll use a whiteboard. Then here when you're going to make the answer, we should calculate the CX. How to calculate the CX? Considering the existing location. The existing location, you can see the A, CX100 and the A volume 1250. Then we can say CX equal 100 into 1250. Much better use the brackets. Then need to add second location D. But as I said, location D, 250 CX value. The volume is 1900. $250 into 1900. Plus next location Q. It's given 790, volume 2300. close bracket. Then according to formula, summation of dix divided by summation of volume. Now we can divide by the volume. Summation of volume means total volume. 1250 plus 1900 plus 2300. Then you can simplify and let me know the answer. Likewise, we can go to the CY as well. How to calculate the CY? Get this Y coordinate based on the given grid map. Location A 200, location D 580, location Q 900. 200, 580, 900. The volume are same. $200 into 1250 volume plus 580 CY value, location D into 1900 plus location Q 900 into 2300, close bracket, then divided by summation of volume, same figure, 1250 plus 1900 plus 2300. Okay, simplify and let me know the CX and CY. Yes, I got the answer now. Miss Ganga chat with me that got it the answer. 443 CX along with the decimal, but I just didn't took the decimal, just enough that the figures. We can get the rounded figure and CY. Now let's explain how to draw the grid map. Is a localized two-dimensional graph, but we should cover using another two lines because of the map. We call the grid map. GRID map. Grid map. You can say that here, point of origin. You can name CX. The values here, CY. According to the CX and CY, we should identify the values under each axis, Cx and Cy. Let us start from the 100, 200, 300, 4. On the scale, we should draw this one. Better to, you can use graph ape also, but if you don't have now, let's make the answer likewise. On the scale, we should draw. Then Cy. Now you can plot the existing location first. Cx 100, Cy 200. 100, 200. Then use name, location A. If you want, you can just write down the coordinates point as well. 100, 200. Then you can plot location D, 250, 580. Then 250, comma 580. The location Q, 790, 900. Here that we can see the figures. 790 close to 800, 900. These are the existing location. Q. We can write down that coordinates point 790, 900. It's a look like two-dimensional graph, but remember that top of the graph and the right hand side, draw the another two lines and cover it because the graph. Then you can plot the new locations as well. We identify the new location 443, 627. Maybe here. We can name the new location. Or warehouse, something like that. Yes, I put the NL, sorry. New location. Then we can write the coordinates point 443, 627. Okay, now everybody you know that how to apply the center of gravity method, how to find the new location, and how to draw the grid map.
Sir, excuse me.
Yeah.
Sir, this is the coordinate plane. When we consider the actual scenario, how we pick the 0, 0 coordinate in the actual.
Yeah, you need to
Sure.
base one particular location. As example, I took the example, Nugegoda, Maharagama, Dehiwala. You need to measure the distance considering the Maharagama Johnson. That's the point of origin. Then from that, you can measure distance to the existing locations and we can identify where the new location.
How we are going to measure the Google distance or
Yes,
something?
Google, yes.
Ah.
That's the way. And assume that you get that as a kilometer, so miles, then you can just convert as a centimeter, 1 centimeter, 1 mile likewise. We need to use a scale.
Okay, sir,
Right.
thank you.
That good question you asked. And also that after we get the particular new location, practically, because I am going to explain theory and also I like to consider practical aspect as well, because without is not important. Every time you should have possibility to apply in practical this one. But our country, I know that people, they are not going to use this particular techniques for their decisions. So either that's important. We have a lot of techniques, right? The theory parts that especially the university student, they know. I think I don't know why they are not going to apply that. Is maybe the reason the sometimes lecturers also not going to explain in detail. But I like to explain in practical way how to apply. Assume we got the new location, this particular point, 4432627. Assume this is one of the particular real location, the middle row, right? The middle of the road. How can I establish the warehouse? If the situation likewise, we should find the suitable location around that area. Sometime exactly point location we can't implement the warehouse, so we can't establish. Then we need to find the close area as a location. That's the way practically we should use. Okay, I think we should go to another example. One is not enough to get the knowledge. I like to share my slides. Still you would not complete your answer. Don't worry. The next slide, I have the answer. Maybe let's see. Yes, here the answer there. How to calculate the Cx and Cy. Yeah. That's the answer. Okay, now let's go to the next example. I think better to do yourself. The electronic goods production company needs to locate intermediate holding facility between its major factory in the Biagama and its major distributors. The X and Y coordinates for these location are provided in the table below, along with the annual sales that each location generates. The Biagama factory also one of the distribution center. Biagama X and Y coordinate 250 and 450 respectively. Biagama, the annual sales was 498,000. In order to reduce transportation cost, management has decided to open integrated holding facility. This table given the existing locations, annual sales, X coordinate and Y coordinate. Question asks, use the center of gravity method and identify the new locations. The second question, draw the grid map and locate each of the 7 distributors. Okay, now you know that how to calculate the Cx and Cy. Better do the calculation and let me know the answer. I think much better everybody need to do the calculation. I got one answer, but others, please let me know answers. And I got another answer also. The two answers. What about others? Now I have the difference answers, not the same. One answer is CX 259, 202, 256, 264, 256,279. Total difference. At least send me another answer. Okay, I think I'm waiting to get another answer, but nobody noticed it. 259, 201. Okay, I read that. Pavitra said. Send it right. Okay. Actually, here I can see a lot of answers incorrect. I think correct one, send it Miss Ganga. Reason behind that, others not read the question carefully. Miss Ganga, can you explain that? How did you get the correct answer?
Sir, I considered the Biagama also and did the calculation according to this equation.
Yes, correct. Actually, this question, the Biagama location given separately, not in the table. If you read the question, what is the company required? The electronic goods production company needs to locate an intermediate holding facility between its major factory in Biagama. They need to intermediate holding facility between the major factory in Biagama and its major distributors. The X and Y coordinates for these locations are provided in the table below along with annual sales that each location generate. Biagama factory also one of the distribution center. Biagama X and Y coordinates are 250 to 450 respectively. Biagama annual sales were 498,000 rupees. In order to reduce transportation cost, management has decided to open inventory holding facility. Then, when I'm going to calculate the CX, you need to include the Biagama locations as well. How to include? I like to start from the Biagama 250 into 498. Don't take the 1000 because rest of the location sales volume given as 1000 figures. Then 250 into 498. Then go to the table now. Quality 100 into 346 plus 450 into 245 plus 300 into 178 plus 200 into 425 plus 350 into 285. Then divided by summation of volume, start from 498 plus 346, 245, 778, 425, 285. Then you can get the CX. If you are going to calculate the CY, start from the Biagama, or you can consider rest up and later also you can take the Biagama, don't worry. But anyway, that is said that 450 into 498 CY plus 150 into 346, 200 into 245, 350 into 178, 150 into 425, 250 into 285. The divided by summation of volume 498 plus 346 plus 245 plus 178 plus 425 plus 285. That's the way you should get the answer. Anybody you require to make the answer myself? If you want, I can explain, but do you think about it's not necessary? We can skip, can go to the next. You understood now how to do the calculation? Because the company requirement to identify the intermediate holding facility considering the Biagama locations as well. Then after you calculate the new location coordinates point, you can draw the grid map. Question asked to locate each of the 7 distributors. Who are the 7 distributors? Inside the table, 5 distributors along with the Biagama, 6 and new locations
one.
altogether. Right. Sanjay, do you have any questions?
No, sir, no.
Right. You understood?
Yes.
Okay. Then assume the same example. Question asked to identify the intermediate holding facility between the Biagama and the location except Kolpiti, because assume they plan to close this branch. Then when you're going to calculate the CX, don't take the Kolpiti, CX, CY and volume. Likewise, according to this, the organization requirement, we should know how to apply the center of gravity method to find the best location. To achieve the particular objective, this organization, they consider to minimize total transportation cost. Okay, do you want to break? Short break? Because until 9 o'clock we have scheduled time. Do you take the short break?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then take the break. Then I'll again start it at 8 o'clock. You have 12 minutes to break. Okay, get the break. And if you don't like to stay without doing anything, you can go to this example also. Take the break and enjoy with this example. It's up to you. Let me now answer this question. Who is write something that here? I have not understood that letters. I got that one. Answer is 152.5 and 210.6. Miss Ganga is calculated. I think this question is so easy because that question said that Cargill's ice cream production company located in the holding facility between its plant in Banduragoda and its major distributors. You already have the experience. When I go to do the calculation, get all the locations along with the factory Banduragoda. The table is given all the locations. Then you can get the CX and CY. It's not a difficult one. Okay, I think others you can go to yourself. Go ahead. Then the third example also there. You can make the answer this question as a homework. No need to waste in time. The fast food material production company is located in the holding facility between its distributors. X and Y coordinates these locations providing the table below, along with the annual sales that each location generates. Now the main factory X and Y coordinates are 350, 450 respectively. In order to reduce the transportation cost, management has decided to open new individual holding facility. Okay, anyway, that better to do the calculation this one. How are you going to make the answer? Better to make the answer this question. Previous one not complete. Don't worry, you can do later. But I think this one you should do that. Anybody complete answer? I got one solution. Again, calculated by the Miss Ganga. 227, 225. Ganga, let me know that way how to get this answer.
I considered these 5 locations and did the calculation. Distribute
So
5
Did you-
distribution locations.
You know, I
now,
mean that you need to include the novel.
so naval is a factory, so we have to not to consider that place.
Yes,
Yes.
that's the main factor, not the distribution location.
Yeah, that's correct. Because that and also the novel that not given that volumes as well, right? Then you know that if the question likewise, then some student they are going to ask from the examination time period, there is an incomplete question, right? Actually not incomplete. The company straightforward they mention they need to identify the intermediate holding facility between its distributors. Therefore, the factory locations we can plot to the grid map, right? That the reason here the X, CX and CY coordinates for the factory location given. It's not necessary to calculate the CX and CY. Not include the novel because question asked to identify the individual holding facility in between the distributors only. Okay, I think now the example is enough. Now you know that center of gravity method, you know factor rating method. Then I like to just explain the next method, load distance method. The load distance method is quantitative techniques used for facility location analysis. It helps in determining the optimal location of a facility by considering the transportation cost associated with shipping goods from facility to various destinations. The basic step involved to the load distance method: identify the potential locations, list down potential location for the facility, determine the demands point, identify the locations of demand points, customer that the facility will serve, calculate the load and distance for each potential locations, calculate the total load, I mean the demand and the distance from that location to each demand points. Compute load distance score, multiply by the load at each location by the distance to each demand point. Sum these values for each potential location. Select optimal location. How? The location with the lowest overall load distance score is considered the optimal location for the facility. Let's say you are considering the 3 potential locations A, B, C. Now you can see the ABC. This is so easy. It's not difficult task, right? These are the potential locations ABC. You can see first column. For a warehouse and have a 3 demand points, X, Y, Z, the 3 demand points. You calculate the load distance score for each potential locations and select the one with the lowest score. The way you are going to calculate likewise, the 100 into 10 plus 100 into 15 plus 100 into 20 get the 4,500. They likewise B 8,550 and C 3,944. The compare the ABC, select the C, location C, lowest load distance score, making the optimal location for the facility. Actually, not only that, we can use the, I mentioned earlier that cost benefit analysis and transportation model as well. I'll just go to the previous slide, including all the techniques. Yeah. Factor loading method or factor rating method, you know how to apply center of gravity method, load distance method. You can go through again the load distance method and do the calculation yourself and get the idea. It's nothing actually. So easy. Then we can use a break analysis as well. Or much better, we can say the break-even analysis, or we can say cost benefit analysis and transportation model we can use. Break-even analysis also we can use actually. Transportation models mean that we try to find the location to minimize the total transportation cost. Then when you're going to apply transportation model, first we should develop the initial solution based on the northwest least cost and the Vogel's method. After that, we should apply the optimum solution method, stepping stone method, and the modified distribution method to find the way how we are going to transport. Then mainly the focus about how to minimize the total transportation cost. That method also we can use. Now we complete this topic. We talk about what are the facilities required, how we are going to classify the facilities, what are the factors we are going to consider to identify the best location, how to take the location decisions, and finally we talk about what are the quantitative techniques we can use to find the best location. Factor rating or factor loading, center of gravity method, load distance method. We can use a break-even analysis, or we can say that cost benefit analysis and transportation model likewise. Okay, now I would like to continue the next topic, forecasting in operations. The forecasting means we are going to predict the future. We are going to predict the future.
So I have a question related to last one. Before we step into this, can I ask that?
Sure, why not?
So now, through all these methods, you taught us we can select the best location. So now, suppose practically, if that location is not available due to many reasons, could be.
Yeah, I already given the answer to this question because I mentioned earlier as example that you are going to apply the center of gravity method. The real X and Y coordinates is a middle of the main road. How can identify the best location at that point? Therefore, practically, we need to identify the feasible location close to that point.
No, I mean, I got that point, but I mean, taking into consideration the space of the land that you require, sometimes that particular space which is required for your business may not be available in and around or closer to that grid reference. If that, yeah, I have seen practical problems faced by some of the businessmen. That
Yes.
they're searching for some acres and some a sizable piece of land, but they have not been able to find out in that, maybe in that
Yes.
city itself.
Yes, that actually, that's correct. because especially in our country, we don't have the good city plan, right? Then unnecessary things also there may be, but we can't do anything now. Then based on the particular the method, sometime we can't use or either no close suitable areas or feasible areas, then we should take the another decisions actually, right? Then we can suggest so many strategies, but however that we should consider about the cost as well, no?
Yeah,
Right. Then
right.
yeah, we are facing that type of problem, then we should think about another strategy
Right.
if the situation like, but most of the time we can use these methods, but problem is practically a lot of organization not concerned that they are going to use the lot of judgmental methods. This depend on the executive level people, their ideas, but rather than using any technical or quantitative techniques. I am not say that every time the quantitative technique is much better. When you're going to take the optimal decisions, we should consider qualitative as well as the quantitative. Both is required. Okay, then I'll like to consider that next topic, forecasting in operations. Mainly we are going to predict. Can you predict yourself what we need to forecast? Either answer correct or wrong, don't worry. Mainly what we need to forecast.
Demand.
Sorry?
Demand.
Yeah, that's correct. Actually, using the forecasting method, especially for the business organization, they are going to predict the future demand. What is the reason behind that? Can you say the reason?
Actually, without the demand, there's no business.
Yes.
Is that so, sir?
Yeah, actually that maybe that you okay answer the somewhat correct, but anyway that real answer that why we need to predict the future demand.
Based on the demand, the other facilities have to be managed.
Yeah, that's somewhat correct. Actually, demand is not constant. Demand vary all the time. You know what are the factors affect to that? Particular product price, other product price, income level, weather condition, taste, likewise there are so many things behind that. And also the natural disaster also, right? This affect to the change the demand. Demand is not constant, vary all the time. Therefore, we should predict the future demand because without knowing the future demand, we can't make any plan. That's the main reason behind that. After this topic, I am going to make the different kind of the production plan. We start from the process plan. Based on that, we are going to make the strategic capacity plan. Then we are going to make the aggregate production plan. Then after that, for the tangible goods, we are going to make the master production schedule. Based on the master production schedule, we are going to make the MRP, material requirement plan, order scheduling. Likewise, for the service organization, weekly workforce customer schedule and daily workforce and customer schedule. We can't make any plan without knowing the future demand. That's the reason the forecasting is really important. Under this topic, we can talk about demand management and qualitative forecasting method and also quantitative forecasting method. I will explain both method. As a qualitative, we can use executive judgment, grassroots, market research, Delphi method, nominal group technique, panel concession, another term, historical analogy. As a quantitative, we can discuss time series analysis. Under the time series analysis, there are several methods. Now you can see in this slide. Simple moving average, weighted moving average, exponential smoothing. And not only that, we can use as a quantitative techniques, regression analysis, and also simulation. These are the forecasting method, right? Then now let's ask some question, which here the demand we are going to classify independent and dependent. Hello. The demand we can classify independent demand and dependent demand, right? Let me know which demand we should forecast. Independent or dependent?
Dependent.
Why? Can you say the reason behind that?
So the dependent demand means that it is depend on the other factors, so we have to consider it.
Mhm.
It's vary on the other factors.
Yes. Vary because of mainly? Answer there. The dependent demand vary because of the?
Because it's depending.
Yes, depending. That answer there, that is dependent on the
Because of various
independent.
the other factors.
The
Because
other
of various.
factors means that independent demand. Okay, let me know which demand you said the dependent we should forecast. Everybody agree with that answer? I'll take the example. The product A, here you can see finished good, final product. If the company want to produce A, we require parts, components, material. These are the parts, components, material. For a 1A, 4 Bs. For a 1A, 2 Cs. For a 1B, 2 Ds, 1E. Likewise, you can see parts, components, material. Sub-assemblies required to produce final product name A. Now you can see straightforward final product demand we call the independent demand. Parts and components demand we call the dependent demand. You said we should predict the dependent demand. Is it correct or wrong? Let me know the answer, either correct or wrong, don't worry.
I think it's wrong.
Why?
We should consider what the independent demand. Demand A.
Mhm.
Others depend on A.
I
Yes.
too agree with her, sir, because we should consider about the final product.
Anybody have argument? Please let me know quickly without wasting time. Actually, we need to predict independent demand. Because The parts and components demand no need to predict. Easy to calculate. Easy to calculate. Assume the product A demand next month. Using the forecasting method, we identify 100 units. 100 units. If you want to produce 100 A's, how many B components are required? For a 1A, 4B, how many B's are required?
400.
400. How many C's are required?
200.
Correct. How many D's are required? How many D's? Do the calculation. Let me know quickly.
200.
I'm sure you required only 200 D's to produce 100 A's. You can become a production manager of this particular company. They like to recruit. Why? 200 not enough. For a 1A, 4 B's, it means 400 B's are required. For a 1B, 2 D's required. It means
800.
800.
That's also incorrect. Why?
Why? There are C.
Yeah.
Produce C also.
D required for the B as well as the C.
C.
So we should
Yeah.
calculate both 800 plus
That's 600.
600, altogether 1400 required.
400.
Yeah, however, that easy to calculate. No need predict. Therefore, remember, we are going to predict the independent demand. The dependent demand, no need to predict, easy to calculate. Right? When I'm going to predict the independent demand, we use the forecasting method. What are the type of forecast? Qualitative. All the methods are judgmental. Sometimes we don't have the quantitative information. You know, data or the information, we can classify quantitative and qualitative. So all the students in this class are very clever. There's a qualitative information. The number of students now join this lecture, 8. There's a quantitative information. Right? Then if any company, they have the quantitative previous period information, we can use the quantitative techniques to measure the forecast or predict the forecast. Sorry, forecast value. If the company don't have the quantitative information, we should use the qualitative. The old qualitative methods are judgmental method based on the one particular specialized person, knowledge, experience. We are going to predict the future value. The methods I mentioned earlier: executive judgment, grassroots, market research, DLP method, nominal group technique, panel concession, another term, historical analogy. As a quantitative techniques, time series analysis, causal relationship, it means the regression analysis and simulation. Under the time series, there are 3 methods: simple moving average, weighted moving average, and exponential smoothing. I would like to explain that all the methods based on the time constraint in detail. There are so many forecasting method, but I'll have to explain the first quantitative technique as a time series analysis. How can you predict the future based on the past data? We use the quantitative previous period information to predict the future. Sometimes the organization have a problem which forecasting model firm should choose. It's dependent on several factors. One of the factors is time horizon to forecast. It means the time availability. The particular organization have more time, they can use some specific method. But less time, some method is difficult to use. As example, DLP method normally takes time. And data availability. Company don't have the quantitative data, they can't use any quantitative techniques. Then they should use a qualitative. Accuracy required. The company expected high accuracy. Based on that, we should decide which method is more suitable. Time series, regression, simulation is much better, right? The accuracy is very high, but cost, high cost. Next one, size of forecast budget. How much the company plan to spend for the forecast. They are not going to expend more amount, then according to that, they should select the which method they are going to use. I mentioned earlier also that simulation is a expensive method because we need to buy some software. That's a good method, but the company don't have enough capital or budget allocation, then difficult to use that type of method. The availability of the qualified person is one of the another important factor. We are going to decide which forecasting method. Sometimes depend on the who are the people know about this particular method. If the persons they don't know, sometimes they can't apply. Then you can suggest why we can hire the expertise persons and we can use them to predict the future. It's possible, but some organization don't like to hire the outside people because they are all the secret information going to the outside. Therefore, they are going to use the existing workforce to predict the future. These are the common factors, but not only that, some specific organization use some other factors as well to select the which forecasting method they need to use. When we talk about the time series analysis, we can identify theoretically component of demand. You know that? Under the time series analysis, there are 4 components: trend, seasonal element, cyclical element, and random. These are the theory. Somewhat you have possible to get the idea, just enough, right? Then what is the trend? Actually, starting point, I saw that maybe 11, 12 student. Now the trend, I can see that is 8 now. The number of students reduced. That's a trend. If I observe the 3 hours time period, now the participants, number of participants are reducing. That's a trend. Sometime reduce and increase and decrease likewise also, but here the reduce. Anyway, that I had to explain using the business organization. Now you can see 2-dimensional graph. One axis, we consider the 4 years time period. Another axis, you can see the sales. The cross mark represent the sales. That's the actual sales. What happened? Increasing, decreasing, increasing, decreasing. Likewise, we can see the sales. But if you draw the dotted straight line, you can see we can predict the 5th year sales. Straightforward, we can say 5th year sales is going up. Because every year we can see the increasing, decreasing variations, but the average sales is going up. Then we can predict without any doubt the 5th year sales may be increase. That's the trend. That's the trend. And also you can see the seasonal variations. Nowadays, you can see the practical seasonal variations because of the new year. Now high demand for the ready-made garments, food items, right? Every month, April, and end of the March and beginning of the April until the end of April also. Every year, that's the seasonal variations. Then after every 2 years or 3 years, something like that, we can see the cyclical variations as well. And suddenly we can see some situations, I mean, disaster or something like that. That's a random variation. COVID period is a random variations. Some product demand going up, some product demand reduce. The face mask demand is going up and the vaccine demand is going up. Now, nobody would like to get the vaccine. Likewise, these are the theory under the time series analysis, but I think not necessarily a lot of theory for us. We required how to predict the future demand. These are two models. I think that's also not necessary. Then I'll let it straightforward go to the first method, simple moving average. We can use to predict the future demand under the time series analysis. Short term is SMA. SMA not Sudath Manjula Amrasen, right? It's my name now. Simple moving average. Then under this simple moving average, we are going to predict the future demand. We consider as a average is a good estimator to predict the future demand. The simple moving average model assume an average is a good estimator for future behavior. The formula for the simple moving average, FT, forecast value for the coming period. Normally we are going to predict the future, then we call the forecast for the coming period. N represent number of period to be average. 80 minus 1 represent actual occurrence in the past period or up to the N period. We consider previous period information to predict the future. Right? That's so easy, it's not difficult one. It's so easy to calculate, easy to understand. Let's go to that example. The example is given 12-week information along with the annual demand actual values, previous period. First year 650, 678, 720, likewise you can see. There are two questions. First question asks, what are the 3-week simple moving average forecast for the demand? Based on the 3-week, we should calculate the forecast demand. The second question asks, what are the 6 weeks moving average forecast for the demand? I'll let explain first based on the 3-week simple moving average. How to make the answer? Let's go to whiteboard. Take the 2 weeks, sorry, 2 columns, weeks, and demand. The demand figures is given 650, 678, 720. then 785, 859. That's the last example. Then after that, we can stop the today lecture. Before that, better to get the real idea how to apply this particular approach. I mean that simple moving average to get the forecast value. Then 850, 758, 892. Eight 57, 58. Okay, now enough that you can go to the desktop. Now we are going to calculate based on the 3-week simple moving average. When you're going to apply the based on the 3-week simple moving average, we consider last 3-week information to predict the future. Now, first week, we don't have the previous period information. Second week, we have the first week information only. Third week, we have first and second week information only. But from the fourth week, we can do the calculation. FT means F4 actually. Fourth week forecast value. How to calculate? Last week values 720 plus 678 plus 650 divided by, and reduce the bracket and say divided by how many weeks we consider 3 based on the 3-week simple moving average. Then simplify, you can get the answer. When I'm going to calculate the F5 fifth week, how to get the answer? 785 plus 720 plus 10 divided by 3, you can get the answer. Who is going to draw the lines? It's not good. Without getting the first week, we are going to calculate the fifth week value. We consider fourth week, third week, and second week. Likewise, you can continue this one until 13 week. How to get the 13 week value? F13. 12th, 11th, and 10th. You understood? The method we call the simple moving average. We consider the last or previous period information. We calculate the average. We understood? Can you make the answers until 13 week? Let me know the answers. At least let me know that fourth week value. 720, 678, 650 divided by 3. That's the way you should do the calculation. When you're going to calculate F7, sorry, F6, 60 forecast value. How to make? Fifth week, 859 plus 785 plus 720 divided by 3. Then you can get the answer. Likewise, you can continue until 13 week. 13 week. Continue. Everybody need to make the answer right. I didn't get any answers. That better do the calculation yourself. This example. Still we are in the first method. Under the time series, simple moving average. Then on the same question, you can see question asks based on the 6-week simple moving average. The second question asks based on the 6-week simple moving average. We're now going to calculate the based on the 6-week simple moving average. You can't calculate the first week because we don't have enough information previous period. Second week cannot, third week cannot, fourth cannot, fifth cannot, sixth cannot, but can start from F7. Why? At least we require the last 6-week information. Predict the future based on the 6-week simple moving average. When I'm going to calculate the F7, we should start from the F6. The actual value given 920 plus 859 plus 785 plus 720 plus 678 plus 650 altogether divided by 6. Now we consider 6-week time period. Then you can find the F7 value. When I'm going to calculate F8, how to calculate? Start from the F7, 850 plus 920 plus 859 plus 785 plus 720 plus 678 close bracket divided by 6 without first week. Okay, likewise you can continue until F30. Right? We're now coming next time, bring the answers, right? I think today now enough. I'll let it stop. Do you have any questions you can ask? If you don't have question, we can stop the class. Thank you all of you and good night.
Thank you, sir.
Good night, sir.
Okay, you're welcome.